Hey everyone, welcome to the Be Bold, Make Waves podcast, a show bringing you inspiring stories of women who are growing and scaling their business. I'm your host, Laura Comark, a website and tech integration specialist who works with online business owners who love their work and not their website. Join me as we have incredible conversations about business, mindset, productivity, and of course, the website and tech behind the business. Let's go ahead and dive in to this week's episode. Hello and welcome to today's show. For those of you who don't already know me, I'm Laura Comark, website and tech integration specialist for women who love their work, but not their website. I am so incredibly excited about my guest today, who is one of my very dear friends, Clare Lewis. Clare is a FG Funnels and HighLevel expert dedicated to simplifying tech and helping service providers streamline their processes all in one place. Clare has a background in public relations and communications before moving to web development and marketing. She understands the importance of great offer, powerful content, and a beautiful design in a truly successful web presence. Clare helps her clients in all aspects of FG Funnels, HighLevel, and other high-level white labels, but especially loves helping with design, tech, and automations. Clare's favorite thing about her work is when a project comes together so a client can put their offer out into the world. She's honored when clients choose her to help them change the world in their own little ways. Clare, thank you so much for coming on the show today. I've been trying to get you on here for quite some time, ever since the podcast launched. So I'm just thrilled to share you with my audience. Can you tell our audience just a little more about how did you get to, quickly, because I know we could sit and talk for a really long time, so I know this could be hard to keep in our time. Tell us how you got here. How did you end up where you are today?
Sure. So I graduated from college with a degree in communications and public relations, and was working in schools and in sports, and had a whole range of experiences there. But as I was applying for jobs, I realized that a lot of places wanted, tech and website skills. And being the person that I am, I thought that meant that I had to learn how to code a website from scratch. And what I later learned was that they wanted someone that could copy and paste a blog post into WordPress and hit publish. But But I learned how to develop websites from scratch, and I just really loved it. I loved the kind of the sense of bringing something to life. I loved working with different types of businesses and clients, and just really getting to learn so much about so many different fields. And so I worked in WordPress for about 5 years, and then I have been working with FG Funnels for the past 2 years. Well, no, I guess it's almost 3 years now. And in late 2022, I made the switch to fully move to FG Funnels, HighLevel, and other high-level white labels, and really specialize there.
I love that. We have a very long history together in the online space because we've been hanging out together since I think 2016. We both had joined a program, and since then we've been in multiple same programs over the years. A few years ago, we got to meet in person at a mastermind retreat. We've been in multiple masterminds together, and we talk almost daily on Voxer.
Absolutely.
So I've enjoyed watching your journey. You are just so brilliant and so talented in what you do. So I've always just really appreciated having your opinions on things when I get stuck in something, especially something super technical. You've always been an amazing resource for me. So again, super excited to have you here today. Can we talk a little bit? I want to talk a little more about HighLevel versus WordPress. And when do you recommend, as someone who's very familiar with both platforms, which again was one of the reasons I really wanted to bring you on, when would you recommend WordPress versus HighLevel or a white label?
So I think that both are excellent. And WordPress, I would say right now, is much better at blogging and digital shops, and probably You can probably do a little bit more with communities right now in WordPress. But again, but I think where HighLevel and FG Funnels succeed is that everything's built into one platform. And so if you're a really small business, if you're just one person, if you're just one, maybe you have a VA, but who's not super technical, you're not dealing with as many of the integrations. You're not having those zaps break. You're not having things, running out of limits of whatever, that forms don't get sent over, or everything's all in one place. Your email sign up forms are on your website, and so I think that for really small teams it can be really helpful because you don't have all of those things that you have to put together. And I know that it has a higher price point initially, and I think that scares some people off. They're looking at whether it's $119 a month or whatever that is. But I think when you look at all the things you're not paying for, you're not paying for Acuity, you're not paying for something like ActiveCampaign, you're not paying for your WordPress hosting, you're not paying for a page builder or funnel software. All of those things can kind of, I think if you looked at it, especially over the course of a year, would probably equal each other out. You're not paying for a separate membership or course site. So it's an interesting situation. I had a woman that I talked to last week, and she was on, she already had her email marketing. All she wanted to move to FG Funnels was her email marketing and her courses. And she realized she was paying less in email marketing and was really happy than she would have been paying over at FG Funnels. And so all she was going to be moving was her courses. And I said, you know what? It's not the right move. Keep your courses. She had it on Podia. She had her WordPress website that she loved. She didn't want to move. So I said, you know what? It's not the right move for you at this time. And so I try to be really honest about, for each person's situation, is this the right move? Because I don't want you to waste money.
Yeah, absolutely. Why did you end up gravitating towards FG Funnels?
So what I love about FG Funnels is that they have a big focus on really great copy and really great design. You're not getting kind of out of the box, super simple templates. They're very focused on conversions, and the designs, once you learn how to adjust them, it's really easy for people. Like I suggest to people, have someone build your first funnel and get you on the right track of, when I customize a template, I still go into Photoshop and change the image assets to your brand and your brand colors and make sure that everything really feels really cohesive. But then once you have that start, it's a lot easier for you to take that start and say, okay, now I have all those pieces. I can then work on my own lead magnet funnel and things like that. And because you have that base that you're just trying to almost adapt versus, okay, I'm looking at this template that I really don't like because it's too simplistic and it's not focused on conversions. And so it really shortcuts the process a lot.
Yeah, I love that. I think also it's so important to recognize that there are certain people that the whole piece of building funnels in the online space. I know I talk to clients all the time, they're not looking for funnels. I love building funnels. I love it when clients are ready to get to that step, but I have a lot of clients that have, I work with a number of therapists that have brick and mortar, practices, and their big thing is they need people to be able to book online. They need to be able to show their team, and their contact form is really huge, and trying to not get spam on that contact form, which is always challenging. Which actually does, Funnel Gorgeous have they figured out a way to stop the spammy bots on the contact forms? Do you know?
I haven't had a ton of spam, and really my clients haven't either. So I don't know, but I don't know why that is.
I know I was thinking about that today because I was just on my daily walk this morning, I was thinking about contact forms and all the spam. I'm like, why do we get so much spam? Like, as soon as I had a client, we put it back on. She hadn't had one in a while. We'd taken off years ago and she was ready to put it back on. And bam, as soon as that thing was back on, what's his name? Jones.
Oh, Eric?
Eric Jones is just blowing up the contact form. And I'm like, what is up? Why is this? So, we got Clean Talk and we installed that and it's helped greatly. But I'm like, man. And so I was thinking about that. I'm like, oh, I have my call with Claire today. I should ask her if they see the same thing over on HighLevel, because it's such a pain.
Yeah. Oh, it is.
But yeah,
it hasn't been a huge issue for my clients yet. So.
Yeah, I love that it's FG Funnels is a way to really like put all those pieces together with having like a funnel. Can you talk to our audience a little bit? Like, what are some of the funnels you're usually putting together? Are you doing like what I call foundational funnels is going to be like, having the opt-in form funnel, so that when people are landing on that site, they're getting on your list, they're getting nurtured. Is that like typically what kind of funnels are you usually setting up for clients?
So lead magnet or opt-in funnels are huge. And even when I build a website, I always suggest that even if there's a form right on the page, that we build a separate funnel for that opt-in anyways, because sometimes you're going to want to send traffic right to that funnel. So it's the same opt-in, it's the same delivery sequence, but it's a page. And then we have that thank you page for if you want to send direct traffic. I also do a lot of, and I don't want to say simple, but 3-page funnels where you have your sales page, your order form, and your order confirmation, and then all of the automations that go with that. And I think that's a really nice way for people to start getting out there without doing a big webinar or a big, an application. Those are very, very important funnels, but a lot of people, especially when they're starting out, that sales page, that order form page, and that order confirmation page are really where they need to start out. And then they're driving traffic to that page from social, from their email list, and all of that. So they don't necessarily need, if they already have an audience, or if they're building their audience through social and things, they don't necessarily need that webinar and things like that, especially if it's a lower ticket product. I had a client, I built her a funnel for her $199 course, and it converted at 9%, which is huge in the online marketing world. And that was just a 3-page funnel, but she had somewhat of an email list. She was talking about it on social media. And so she did really well with that.
Oh, I love that. I love when my clients get results and are able to share those results with me, because
I do too.
It just lights me up. I have a client right now who is running ads to her website and funnel that I set up, and it's converting really high. I don't know the actual percentage, but it's like, I love hearing that. I'm like, yay, because she's making like all this money selling her product. And I'm like, this is amazing, because it's a pre-order for a book. So it wasn't even like a validated offer. It was a new offer. But she has a big audience and she has a very strong online presence. And I was just thrilled about that. And again, like, I love that. Yes. I love when the clients get results. That just it's what we're here to do.
Absolutely. And really, I mean, I think that people think, I want people to know how invested we are in their businesses. Like, yes, our part of the project is the same no matter what you do. But when a client doesn't launch, or I feel so sad, because I know how much potential there is. And I so badly I want my clients to be successful, because I know what they're doing is so important and so special.
Agree so much. Yes. Oh, I still want to talk more about funnels. What would you say?
Yeah.
What are some fun funnel questions? What would you say what are your favorite funnels to set up?
I actually really like application funnels, because they're generally a higher ticket. funnel. And I love to kind of, it really, for my clients, it shortcuts that time on the sales call. Like I'm sure that everyone knows it can be nerve-wracking to get on a sales call, especially if you don't have the information to kind of know and to know whether they're going to be a good fit. And so that application funnel can kind of it gives your prospect enough to know what they're kind of exploring, but then it gives you some really great information to say, okay, is this going to be a fit or is it not? And so you're not wasting a ton of time. You're still doing sales calls and everything, but you're not wasting that time. And so that's kind of fun to set up because they're a little bit more involved than a 3-page, but you're also not having to do, a big webinar, which can be a really big hurdle for a lot of people too.
Oh, absolutely. Can we talk a little bit? You have a resource guide that you have put together. Can you talk a little bit tell our audience about that resource guide?
I do, yes. So my Funnel 411 resource guide it's built around FG funnels, although anyone using a HighLevel account or a HighLevel white label will definitely find enough from it because the foundation is the same. It's really just those kind of designs and support, but it's everything. I have been making lists of every question that my client asks me of how to do this and how to do that. And the goal for it is to really empower you in a super easy way to find the answers to those questions. I mean, I have a client that was messaging me overnight because he's in Switzerland, and he had questions, and so it's like I'm writing those things down to say, okay, I got to add that to the resource library because I want people to have a really simple place to go and say, okay, I have this question. Is it here? And I have to say, I mean, the FG Funnels group is excellent. The FG Funnels University is great. I think just sometimes there's a difference in the way people are asking the question. And so it's set up very much like how do I do X? And of the way that people are thinking about the question. And because it's on demand, they don't have to wait for a support call. They don't have to wait for me to be around. And because it's a free resource, you don't have to be a client of mine to access it. It's there to help because I feel so strongly about how the platform can help. And I want people to feel empowered that they can use it. I don't want them to get overwhelmed and say, okay, I can't figure it out. Because I tell people there is a learning curve, and it's because you're trying to learn 6 platforms at once. If you were trying to learn ActiveCampaign and Acuity and WordPress and a course site all at once, and something like Zapier or something, you're going to feel overwhelmed. I promise you, you're going to feel even more overwhelmed. It's just that generally you're not trying to learn all those platforms at once. And so it's sort of I have it kind of broken down into, all right, I have a question about email. I'm going to go into that and say, all right, how do I send a broadcast email, or how do I customize my unsubscribe? And so, and those are things that you shouldn't need to hire someone for. Those are things that you want to be able to do yourself, and I want to empower you to do that.
Oh, I love that. Where can people find that resource?
You can go to funnel411.com and you'll opt in and get access to the platform.
Oh, I love it. Love it, love it, love it. I want to we've talked a lot about tech, so we're not going to have that
Yes.
conversation. And I know everything about your tech as well, just because we talk so much. I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you've overcome. We both know, like, starting a business, running a business, there's a lot going on. So I would love to talk a little bit about some of the challenges that you've overcome and some of the surprising challenges that you faced.
I think that probably when I think about challenges in business, and I think that it's a cycle, that there's always going to be, you think you've overcome something, and then all of a sudden something else pulls you back in. And I know that you and I have been in programs where this has been a big thing about, where a coach has said, it's more about recognizing, okay, I'm being pulled back into this. And so it's a lot about mindset, about, pricing and comparisonitis and all of those things that just kind of pull you back. And so I think that's a huge challenge that is a constant area for improvement of, feeling like you're able to show up and do the work, and part of that's mindset, part of that is time management. We all, in it, as a solo business owner, we wear so many hats, and it's, I say I love what I do. I love actually working on it. It's the things like billing that I don't love because it's just not in my zone of genius. I'd much rather be working on a funnel than dealing with sending out invoices and things. So I think that's certainly something, marketing, even though I'm in the marketing space, marketing is always hard, and showing up and making time for that and prioritizing that. And so I think it gives me a better understanding of my clients because they're all struggling with the exact same things. And so how do we make that easier? And I think that's one of the things that funnels can do is, you have a really strong place to send people. So I think that no matter what the experience of a solo business owner is, we all struggle with the same things, and it may be at different times and it may be in different manifestations, but it's a lot around mindset, around time management and wearing all the hats and just trying to do everything to the level that you want to do it, because a lot of us are perfectionists too, and that makes it 10 times harder.
Absolutely. Oh, I love that. I love also what you said about how knowing that your funnels are working on the back end. Like, I feel so strongly about that for my clients. Like, that is one of the things I strive towards having, that my clients have a website that they feel proud to send people to, that they know, like, the whole idea of what I'm trying to build for them is having these, I call them foundational funnels on the back end, so that they can start front loading, go out there, get visible, do the marketing, all that stuff, which is absolutely hard, like totally. But also, like, getting on podcasts, speaking at summits. I feel like everyone's doing that, at least in my circles, a lot more than the circles I was running in a few years ago. And so we're all getting more visible. We're getting more comfortable being visible. But if you're sending them to a website and your opt-in isn't working, I tried to opt into something the other day and just like nothing happened. And I was like, I really wanted to opt into this. Nothing.
Absolutely.
It just like froze.
Absolutely.
And I was like, did I get in? Am I on our list? Like, am I going to get this thing? I didn't. But knowing that it's all working and that you can just, as a business owner, go work in your zone, go talk to people about what you're doing, go be there, knowing with full confidence, showing up and knowing your website represents who you are, how you want to show up, and your funnels are going to work on the back end. So once people are getting on your list, it's all going to run on the back end.
Absolutely. And I think it's natural for us to look for excuses of why not to show up and put ourselves out there. And absolutely the biggest excuse is, I don't have a website that I'm proud of, or I can't let anyone go to my website because it's so terrible, or well, I don't have an email list, so I'm going to waste their click by ending up on my website, and then they can't do anything unless they want to hire me, and they may not be ready. And so I think that is a really important foundational step. And like you said, with those foundational funnels, because it removes an excuse. Now, I'm not saying that you're not going to find 5 other excuses to not do it, because you will. But if we can tackle one of them, that's a huge one.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm like, I know even with my website, the cobbler's kid doesn't have any shoes. My website, my messaging is all over the place right now. My business has changed. It's evolved. Like, I need to hire Nicole Kepik again, who wrote my copy, and get her to come in and kind of massage what she did a number of years ago, because things have changed.
Absolutely.
And just update things, because your website it's not done. It's never done.
No.
It's always going to continue to evolve and change as you evolve and change, and your business changes and all the things. So
Absolutely.
as we make pivots and things, what would you say that you are doing that is being bold in the industry? How are you doing
I
FG
think
funnels different?
I think that really trying to I think that the funnel 411 it's a newer thing that I've established, but I think that it is really trying to help people in kind of a different way. There's nothing like it out there other than FG University, which, like I said, is awesome. But I feel sometimes people have a hard time finding things. And so that's kind of my goal because there are wonderful, wonderful FG funnels practitioners and experts. And I mean, I was talking to 5 of them earlier. And I mean, and we all try to be very supportive of each other. And so I think that is kind of how I'm trying to differentiate myself is really through empowerment because it I feel I don't know what the right word, but when people say, "Oh, I'm just struggling, I don't know if it's going to work for me," that is hard because I know the potential and but I want people and I know Laura you do the same thing through your WordPress work. You want people to feel comfortable using their websites and using it as a tool, not being like, "Oh, that's that thing I can't touch because it's scary." I don't we don't want tech to be scary and you just need some help to move forward.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and you're right. Right. I want my clients to feel empowered. I want that you put that so perfectly. Like, I don't want them to think it's scary. Although I have tons of clients who are like, I don't want to touch it. I'm like, that's fine. That's what I'm here for. I'm not
Absolutely.
going anywhere. Like, I create tons of training videos. Sometimes they get watched, sometimes they don't, but they're there for when that one rainy day when maybe I'm on vacation
Yeah.
and they have a question. I'm like, ooh, go look in your training library. Um, so I love that. I love that you want to empower people. I think that's so amazing. And because tech doesn't need to be scary. And I get that it is for so many people, but if we can find ways to make it easier and find simple solutions and like also making it not so complex on the back end. I know that's something
Yeah.
I strive for. I know you strive for that as well. Like, how can we make it simple for not just us, but for our clients?
Absolutely. And I try to tell people, I think it's a great idea if you can afford it to hire out all of your funnels. But you shouldn't need to hire out someone to send out an email to your list every week. If you want to outsource that to a VA, that's totally different. But you should be able to know, okay, this is how I send an email to my list. And that not that it's hard, it's hard to conceptualize. And so you need someone to kind of walk you through it and say, all right, this is exactly how you do it. And I don't want that's kind of where I'm trying to say, all right, you can absolutely send an email to your list. Now, if you want to build out, a big webinar funnel, yeah, maybe you hire out for that. But I want people to feel like, oh, I can do this. I can send out an email to my list, or I can add another email to my welcome sequence or tweak that. Like that stuff, certainly you can absolutely hire it out. But if you want to do it, you absolutely can too.
I love that. Love that so much. So I would like to know, as you are very well aware, because again, we talk almost daily,
Yes.
I'm such a huge fan of celebrating wins. And I would love to know what's something that you're really proud of that you've accomplished in your business that we could celebrate about your business.
So this is something I did. I worked really hard on the past 2 weeks, and you know a little bit about it, but I will explain. I really wanted to really up level my client experience and make it super easy for people to know what I need before they work with me and just know exactly what the expectations are and not have to wait. And I love talking to my clients. I love answering questions, but I know sometimes especially as the client, you're like, oh, I don't want to bugger about that, and so I really revamped my whole process for that 3-page website. Or not 3-page website, 3-page funnel that we talked about earlier. And everything is so seamless that I know it's going to just make my client experience so much better. I did, a whole pre-work course that's really super bite-sized. Like I would say 90% of the lessons will take less than 3 minutes each to get through. But it's really about, again, it's all about empowerment. Like, oh yeah, I can do this. I can get what she needs. And because, as you know, when we get what we need, it makes the end product so much better, and you're going to be so much more successful and have such better conversion rates. And it's all a very layered process. And so I'm really, really excited to work with that because I know it's just going to make things so much better for clients.
Oh, I love that. And yeah, I got to see a little behind the scenes sneak peek video of it. It was really, really cool. I was like, this is amazing. So, congratulations on getting that done. I know
Thank
you put
you.
a lot of work and time into that, and that's totally
Yeah.
incredible. I want to know. So, for our listeners, if someone is listening in and maybe they have FG funnels or they've been thinking about FG funnels, like who are your perfect people to come work with you? Are you usually setting people up typically? Is it people who've been in there? Is it a little bit of all the above?
It's a little bit of all of the above. I really love working with people who are ready to launch an offer and maybe they don't have that established. And so we go in and we make sure that all of those foundational pieces are set up. And then we start building out that funnel, building out those automations, because like I said, then you can take that base and really move forward with it. And I tell people you can build an offer and put it out there before you migrate. In fact, I think that's a great idea. Get really used to things before you start, migrating, because that migration is not hard. And for most platforms, it's not hard. I think in general, migration is not hard. It's just time consuming and kind of tedious. And
Mhm.
so I would rather you start with something like the fun part, basically. And then once you get that momentum, you're like, okay, now I can migrate because this is awesome. And I know that I want to do this. Um, but also I have clients that are like, you know what? I have a new offer. I'm already all established, but I have a new offer and either I don't have the time or I don't want to build it out myself, or I just know that hiring an expert is absolutely the way that I'm going to get the best um, results. And I mean, for people that are new, I'm able to offer a 2-week free trial of FG Funnels, which is kind of rare in me. That's not publicly available. And if you work with me on a funnel, you get access to all of the slide decks, all of the lead magnets, and all of the logo designs from FG Funnels. So you can, and they all match the funnel templates. So you can, if you're doing a webinar, you're going to get that slide deck that matches your template. And then if you are doing a webinar, I go in and I customize that whole slide deck to look exactly to match your funnel. Like all of those elements that we put in your funnel, we're going to put in your slide deck too. And then you can use that again and again. And so it's really about that kind of, no matter what stage of business or stage in your FG funnels journey you are, it really is getting that foundation in there and saying, okay, now I have this idea for this opt-in and I want it to kind of look like everything else. Super easy.
Oh, I love that so much. And that's amazing. And so if anyone's interested in kind of checking things out, should they just reach out to you, or what's the best way for someone to take
Um,
advantage of that trial period?
yeah, so if you want to just take the trial and don't want to reach out, that's totally fine. You can go to my Instagram. I'm Instagram.com/Clare Concept Web. And there's no I in Claire. And I know Laura will put that in the show notes. And in my link in my bio, there's the 14-day free trial. You can also message me, email me, or go to my website. It kind of gives an overview of what I offer, but I'm always happy to talk to people. And if you want to set up a call to say, I don't know, is this right for me? And we'll go through and I'll ask you questions. And I never have a problem saying, no, I don't think it's right for you. Or I will say, yeah, I think it's perfect. I really want to help you make the best decision for you, because as the creator of Funnel Gorgeous Julie, one of the creators, always says, it's never going to be easier to migrate than today. Like today is always the easiest, but what I don't want you to do is migrate to the wrong platform and then be like, oh, well, should I go back? Or, like no, as little migration as possible is always the best thing.
I love that. Clare, I could sit and talk to you all day, and I will later in Voxer. There is one question I ask everyone who comes on the show, and that is, what is one piece of advice you would give to someone when they are growing and scaling their business to help them be bolder, be louder, and make waves?
No one is as hard on you as you are on yourself. And that's something that I constantly have to remind myself. You are filtering everything you do through your lens. You're hearing everything you say, you're hearing everything you think. Other people aren't. And so it doesn't have to be perfect. Just get out there, and not as many people as you think are going to judge, and and even fewer are going to say anything. And really, I think that a lot of times, at least in the circles that I'm in, there's not judgment, there's a want to help. And so if someone messages you and says, oh, there was a broken link on this, they're not saying like, oh, you're a terrible business owner, you should quit. It's like, I want to help you and help you be more successful. And so if you can update that link, like, great. And then, oh, someone was interested enough to click that link. And so that's a good sign too, even though it was broken, doesn't matter. And so I think to know that you're your own worst critic and that other people aren't thinking like you are. And I think that's where having great friends, and I mean, I am so lucky between, Laura and we have so many wonderful business friends. They're always there to cheer you on. And so find those people and be brave enough to make conversation, and that will make such a difference in your journey. I promise.
Oh, I love that so much. And yeah, I mean, find your people. I feel like so many years at the start of my business not having like these biz besties. And once I found those people, which was all through the Sarah Massey VIP Day group back in 2020, when we all joined that, you and I think both joined at the same time, yet again.
Yeah.
And I mean, when we joined the mastermind retreat or the mastermind group Momentum, I mean, that was where I found the people that I talk to every single day, the people that I'm boxing,
absolutely,
all the ones that I go to when I'm having a hard day, when I need, someone, a friendly shoulder to cry on, or when I want to burn it all down and I need just like a reframe, or when I want to celebrate, or when anything, like I go to them for everything.
Yeah. Absolutely. And their perspectives, again, are, your friends are going to be your greatest cheerleaders and tell you like you're being too critical on yourself. And I think that's where you need, because otherwise you get totally up in your head. And it does take a while. I mean, you and I have known each other, like you said, since 2016, but it was really in 2020 that we became really good friends. I would say previously we were acquaintances, we knew each other, but like in 2020 was when we became really good friends and sounding board and all of that. And I wish that it happened back in 2016, because then
we lost all those years. We're more than making up for it now.
Absolutely.
All the hours and hours on Voxer. I love it. Oh my gosh, Clare, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Can you tell our listeners, I know you already kind of did, let's just go ahead and tell them again. Where can they go find you? Where do you hang out? Where can they go get more Clare?
So my website is clareconcept.com, ClareConcept.com. Clare is spelled the Irish and the Italian way. Instagram, Clare Concept Web, funnel411.com. And eventually I will get a YouTube channel up, but it's not happening quite yet.
Just add it to the list. It's coming.
It's a lot.
I know, it is a lot. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. This was so much fun.
Thank you for having me. I always love talking to you.
Thanks so much for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to check out the show notes at lauracomark.com/podcast. And if you're ready to turn your website into a marketing machine, get more sales, save time, and simplify the back end of your business, grab my free resource, Power Integrations for your website. Head on over to lauracomark.com/power. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to subscribe. And also, I'll just love you forever if you leave me a review. It helps get this podcast in front of other people that can help inspire. Thanks so much for listening. I'll see you next week. Bye now.